The War of the Gods in the Sky, the Rise and Fall of the Egyptian Gods. In a forgotten time, when the age of the universe was measured in breaths of eternity, there was an era where gods were not just myths, but palpable realities, beings of unimaginable power and splendor. This is the story of the War of the Gods in the Sky, a saga that stretches beyond the boundaries of time and space, unveiling a past shrouded in the mist of mystery and magic. The planet Beetle-Jews, a radiant world where the Egyptian gods lived in a fragile balance, a balance threatened by the envy and dark ambition of Set, the brother of the sun god, Horus. This spark of discord ignited a cosmic conflict, a fight for supremacy that shook the very foundations of reality itself. As the war intensified, divine alliances were formed and broken in the second chapter. Each god, from Isis and Osiris, allies of Horus, to the mysterious Anubis, the master of the balance between life and death, had to choose a side in this monumental confrontation. Echoes from the eternal past. In an era undefined by time, when the universe was still weaving its mysterious stories, there existed a realm of light and darkness, where gods displayed their divine powers. This place, far beyond any human imagination, was Beetle-Jews, an ancient planet where the sky was never the same, changing its colors and shapes in an eternal dance of nature. Here, the Egyptian gods, creatures of unimaginable grandeur and beauty, lived in a fragile harmony, orchestrating the destinies of stars and galaxies. Beetle-Jews was a land of contrasts, mountains piercing the sky, covered in eternal snows, neighbored by endless, scorching, and consuming deserts. Rivers of liquid gold flowed beside forests filled with gemstones, and the sky was an ocean of iridescent clouds, traversed by lightning that wrote stories as old as the world. In this magical realm, Horus, the sun god, wove each day with golden rays. Bright and majestic, he was the heart that animated life on Beetle-Jews, watching over the gods and their creatures. Beneath his brilliance, the gods gathered in ancient councils, discussing the fates of the universe and unexplored worlds. But in the depths of his solar palace, in a hidden room where the sunlight could not penetrate, Horus kept a dark secret. It was an ancient prophecy, written on obsidian tablets, predicting a devastating war between gods, a war that would tear the sky apart and plunge the world into chaos. Meanwhile, in a remote corner of the planet Beetle-Jews, Set, Horus's brother, reigned over storms and disorder. Envious of Horus' brilliance and power, Set hid his hatred under a false smile, secretly planning to overthrow the order established by his brother. He knew about the prophecy and was determined to use this knowledge to his advantage. In this universe, where each moment was an eternity, and every eternity unfolded in a moment, the fragile balance between gods began to waver. As Set gathered his dark forces, an unseen tension filled the air of Beetle-Jews. It was like a foreboding shiver passing through every atom of reality, whispering of the changes to come. And as the stars continued their cosmic dance, the gods were preparing, perhaps unknowingly, for a war that would change everything. This was the beginning of a story that would pass through ages and galaxies, a story about divine power and the eternal fight for the supremacy of the heavens. It was the beginning of the War of the Gods in the Sky. The spark of discord. In the heart of the world Beetle-Jews, an ancient conflict was simmering in silence. Set, the god of storms and chaos, was secretly weaving a web of intrigue and betrayal. In his dark palace, built of storm clouds and black stone, Set planned to overthrow the order imposed by Horus. His fury and envy towards the radiant sun god made each thought like a venomous snake, ready to strike. While Horus continued his reign, spreading light and life, Set united his forces with the darkest entities of the universe. Demons of the winds, storm spirits, and beasts hidden in the depths of Beetle-Jews answered his call. His army was a terrifying collection of creatures, each more frightening than the other, a mix of brute force and dark magic. On an unforgettable night, when the stars seemed to blink warning of an imminent catastrophe, Set unleashed his revolt. A wave of dark energy enveloped the sky of Beetle-Jews, causing even the brightest stars to dim. Set's lightning pierced the sky, announcing the beginning of the war. Horus, surprised but unafraid, called his allies. In his solar chariot, adorned with gold and surrounded by pure flames, the sun god responded with arrows of light, splitting the darkness that threatened to engulf everything. The battlefield, once a place of beauty and harmony, had now transformed into a theater of divine war. And so, the two forces clashed in a conflict so violent that it shook the foundations of reality. The sound of their fight was like a chorus of thunder, a howl that reverberated in every corner of the universe. In these moments of chaos, the sky of Beetle-Jews was a living tableau of the struggle for power, light against darkness, order against chaos. As the battle intensified, the energy released by the confrontation of the gods began to create cracks in the structure of space-time. The balance between the visible and invisible worlds was threatened, and the consequences of this divine war would be felt far beyond the limits of Beetle-Jews. In this cosmic tumult, the destiny of the entire universe hung by a thin thread, and the echoes of the war between Horus and Set would resonate through ages, reaching into the hearts and souls of people on Earth. This was the true beginning of the War of the Gods in the Sky, a story about divine power and the eternal struggle for the domination of the world. Divine alliances. As the battle between Horus and Set grew more intense, the balance of power in Beetle-Jews oscillated precariously. Alliances formed and shattered with astonishing speed, and each god faced a crucial choice. In this labyrinth of loyalties, two eminent figures rose to announce their support. Isis, the goddess of magic and life, together with her husband Osiris, the master of rebirth and regeneration, joined forces with Horus. In a hidden sanctuary, where the stars spoke in whispers, they crafted a plan to counter Set's movements. With her profound magic, Isis created a protective shield around Horus, while Osiris invoked the spirits of nature to bolster their forces. At the same time, Anubis, the mysterious god of death and mummification, chose to remain neutral. His temple, situated in a realm between worlds, was a place where shadows of the past and premonitions of the future met. Anubis, master of eternal secrets, watched over the balance between life and death, observing the war with piercing eyes. As alliances formed, each god unleashed their fury and power in the battle that shook the universe. The land of Beetle-Jews, once a place of unparalleled beauty, began to bear the scars of battles. Deep craters and rivers of lava covered in ash reminded of the boundless fury of the gods. But as the battle continued, an unknown presence made itself felt. In the shadows, an ancient force, older than the gods themselves, began to awaken. An entity that had slept since the beginning of time, whose awakening could change the course of the war and, possibly, even the fate of the entire universe. This new, mysterious player in the cosmic scenario began to weave its influence, and the gods, too caught up in their own conflict, were just beginning to sense the change looming on the horizon. In this setting of fragile alliances and the struggle for power, a new chapter in the War of the Gods in the Sky was about to be written. A celestial battle. On the cosmic battlefield, where the sky and earth of Beetle-Jews met in a whirlwind of supernatural colors, Horus and Set confronted their armies in an epic showdown. Horus, in his solar chariot, shining like a living flame, focused the power of the sun, turning it into arrows of light that sliced through the dark sky. Around him, his allies, Isis and Osiris, used their magic to strengthen the ranks of divine warriors. On the other side, Set, enveloped in storms and dark clouds, responded with lightning and devastating winds. Under his command, demons and mythical beasts showed their teeth and claws, thirsty for battle. Each clash between the two armies shook the foundations of reality, and their echoes resounded throughout the universe. In this theater of war, another conflict unfolded, a duel between magic and brute force. Isis, with her subtle spell, wove protective shields around allies, while Osiris invoked spirits of nature to bring strength and courage to the warriors. Set, on the other hand, used his dark magic to weaken enemies, creating illusions and fears that spread confusion and terror. As the fight intensified, an unexpected event disturbed the balance of power. Anubis, the god of death, stepped onto the battlefield. No one could predict on whose side the mysterious god would fight, but his presence added a new level of uncertainty. As he approached, a heavy silence fell over both armies. Anubis, with his eyes shining like two precious stones, looked indifferently at the conflict. He would not choose a side, but only watch over the balance between life and death. In that decisive moment, a deep sound echoed from the depths of the universe, an ancestral murmur that seemed to come from the heart of time. A new, ancient, and unknown force made its presence felt. The gods and their creatures stopped, looking towards the unknown sources of this new mystery. This sound, almost musical, was accompanied by a diffuse light, a cosmic spectacle that fascinated and terrified them at the same time. Horus and Set, surprised by this unexpected turn, turned their gazes towards each other, realizing that there were forces greater than their fight. In this moment of uncertainty, the war seemed to be suspended, while all participants were captivated by this new element of mystery and fantasy. It was clear that the war of the gods in the sky had reached a turning point where reality and magic intertwined in a dangerous and fascinating dance. The end and the beginning. As the war of the gods followed its turbulent course, an unexpected change began to take shape in the heart of the cosmos. Under the pressure of the conflict between Horus and Set, the very structure of reality began to unravel. As the two colossal forces confronted each other, a fissure opened in the fabric of space-time, threatening to engulf everything in a cosmic abyss. At this critical moment, Horus, aware of the danger that threatened not just Beetle-Jews but the entire universe, made an unexpected move. He withdrew the power of the sun, transforming his solar chariot into a bolt of pure light, which penetrated the heart of the darkness created by Set. Horus's light pierced Set's black clouds, revealing a forgotten beauty and strength. Set, taken by surprise by this move and defeated by his own blindness, fell into a cosmic chasm created by the fissure in reality. With Set's fall, the storms and darkness began to dissipate, revealing a wounded but still shining sky. In that moment of victory, Horus realized the price he had paid. Beetle-Jews was now a ruin, a once majestic realm, now torn by war and destruction. The shining mountains were now just shattered rocks, and the rivers of liquid gold had turned into deep chasms. Seeing the disasters they had caused, the gods, tired and sorrowful, decided to seek a new home. Their eyes turned to Earth, a young and vibrant planet, where they hoped to start their existence anew. In a final gathering, the gods set off for this new realm, leaving behind their destroyed planet, but keeping in their hearts the memory and power of Beetle-Jews. On Earth, the gods found a primitive world, but full of potential. They began to interact with humans, sharing knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and magic. This new beginning marked the birth of the first human civilization, a civilization that flourished under the guidance of the gods. But even on Earth, the echoes of the war between the gods continued to resound. The secrets and powers they brought with them were a blessing, but also a curse. Humanity began to carve its own destiny, but under the shadow of a divine past full of mystery and uncertainty. Human wars, ambitions, and aspirations were, in a way, an echo of the divine conflict that had taken place in the heavens long before their appearance on Earth. Thus, the war of the gods in the sky was not just a distant event in time and space, but became an integral part of human history and mythology, a dark golden thread that continued to weave the destiny of humanity. The legacy of the Earth. After leaving the ruins of Beetle-Jews, the gods arrived on Earth, a virgin land full of life and promise. Here, under the vast blue sky and above the fertile land, they found a refuge, a place to start a new chapter. But with them, the gods also brought the shadows of their tumultuous past, sowing the seeds of new destinies. On Earth, the gods encountered primitive tribes of curious and admiring humans. Under the guidance of the gods, these tribes began to prosper. Horus, now a wiser and more tempered god, used his power to bring light and warmth, while Isis taught humans the secrets of plants and healing. Osiris, with his knowledge of the cycle of life and death, offered people an understanding of rebirth and agriculture. However, even in this new era of flourishing, the seeds of divine conflict began to germinate in the hearts of humans. The stories and legends of the War of the Gods were passed down from generation to generation, inspiring and disturbing the souls of the listeners. Humans, seeing the incredible powers of the gods, began to dream of obtaining such power for themselves. During this time, Anubis, who had also stepped on Earth, watched the evolution of humanity with an unflinching eye. He became a guardian of the balance between life and death, overseeing the secrets of the passage of souls. His enigmatic and mysterious presence gave rise to many myths and legends among people. As civilizations grew, cities rose towards the sky, and temples dedicated to the gods were built. A new threat began to emerge on the horizon. In the depths of the earth, ancient forces, awakened by the arrival of the gods, began to stir. These entities, older than the gods themselves, watched with envy and desire the divine powers and the adoration they received from humans. Thus, on earth began a new game of power, a delicate dance between the divine and the human, between the old and the new. Mystery and uncertainty hung in the air, like unseen veils enveloping everything in an aura of fantasy and possibility. In this landscape full of suspense and magic, humanity began to write its own story, a story woven from the threads left by the gods, but also from their own aspirations and dreams. The legacy of the earth became a new and unexplored chapter in the war of the gods in the sky, a chapter where the destiny of each was still uncertain and full of unexpected possibilities.